The average MLB game was 24 minutes shorter in 2023 when compared to 2022, mostly due to the rule changes emphasizing the pace of play. And during the MLB offseason, they're doubling down on their efforts to shorten games, along with clearing up a rule that caused a major controversy during the 2019 World Series. So be sure to stick around for all the updated rules of 2024, subscribe if you enjoyed the content, and let's get right into it. In 2023, the MLB introduced the pitch clock as well as some other constraints on the game of baseball to help improve the pace of play, lowering total game time while increasing the total amount of action happening in one game. Despite the initial backlash and growing pains from players and fans, it resonated well with most people by the season's end, and the new set of rule changes are set out to further tweak the previously implemented changes to continue to drive down that total game length. Possibly one of the biggest changes off the back of that was the reduction of the timer from 20 seconds to 18 seconds with runners on base. Once again, some fans are opposed to such a change, but after some testing in AAA last season with a 17-second pitch clock timer with runners on, the MLB saw no change in the amount of pitcher violations. There are some pitchers who will have to make adjustments once again, like Craig Kimbrell and Chris Bassett, who led the league in pitch clock violations last year, as well as other notable names such as Felix Bautista and Aaron Nola, who are getting very close with their average time to the plate to that new 18-second mark. Personally, I like the new changes. They're continuing to tweak this system to make it as efficient as possible, to make the most action possible while driving down game times. Makes sense to me, and there should be fairly low consequences off the back of that for the player. The next set of changes has to do with mound visits and making them less time consuming. The total number of mound visits has been reduced from 5 to 4 for each team, with the defensive team gaining an additional visit in the ninth inning if none are remaining. To go along with minimizing the total meetings, position players can now call for mound meetings, making the process a little less rigid. These changes aim to make mound visits less frequent and more seamless. This comes from the MLB survey, where they found mound visits are among fans' least enjoyable part of baseball games. Again, these changes make sense to me. While I do enjoy the tactical side of baseball, mound visits are kind of a buzzkill, especially when you're watching the game in person. It just interrupts the flow of the game and it makes it difficult to watch. So again, these are good changes from my perspective. The next set of changes are relatively small, and you probably wouldn't even notice them unless you are looking for them, but we'll go over them as well. The first of which is the pitch clock will restart after a dead ball when the pitcher receives the ball instead of when the pitcher reaches the mound. This is to hopefully prevent pitchers from walking around the mound and wasting time. The second change is pitchers who warm up must face at least one batter and are subject to the 3-batter minimum if necessary. 24 times last season, a pitcher was replaced without even throwing a pitch, with that happening 2 times during the World Series. Again, this is to prevent more time wasting by having to watch another guy warm up to start the next inning. And the final of these small changes revolving around the pitch clock is if a relief pitcher steps onto the warning track and the timer is under 2 minutes, the clock will reset to 2 minutes instead of 2 minutes and 15 seconds. Again, just a minor change to save time in off scenarios. From my perspective, these are just simple changes that make the game more efficient with no real repercussions. So again, another great set of changes from me. With the final change of this video being the changing of a ruling that has been in place for over 100 years and caused a major controversy during the 2019 World Series, and that is the widening of the runner's lane from home plate to first base. The famous example of this was, of course, Trey Turner's swinging bunt, where he took the inside path to first base, got in the way of the throw, and subsequently was called out. For a long time, this rule was sort of ignored, and umpires were actually interpreting it the way the rule stands today, with runners allowed to run alongside the inside of the line as long as they stayed in the dirt. This change solidifies a pretty significant change for right-handed batters, as they no longer have to run indirectly to first base to ensure they stay out of the field of play, and clarifies a rule that seems to be well out of date. This was another great change from my perspective, anything that sort of makes the call less up to the interpretation of the umpire and more straightforward is a welcome change for me. It also helps out right-handed batters, which I am, and I needed all the help I could get into first base quickly. Let me know what you guys think of the changes down below. My personal favorite was the widening of the runner's lane to first. Even I was under the impression it was like this already, but that just wasn't the case apparently. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful day.